2.
Welcome to Kareem and Company for part 2 of episode 1. Where do we go from here? Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Hey, self-determination.
Black liberation.
We don't talk about it enough.
Some people really don't want to talk about it.
Right.
In the comfort zone, comfortable with where we're at and what we're doing. And very sad and unfortunate. And, you know, we were talking last week about, first it was Carter G. Woodson, Black History or Negro History Week.
Right.
And then we went to Black History Month. But Black History should be 365, or 366 if it is a leap year.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we touched on the impact of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which he was impacted by Ahmadiyya movement, W.D. Farad, Marcus Garvey, and then he in turn impacted many jazz musicians, Art Blakely, Yusuf Lateef. You ran down some more to me as well.
Oh yeah, Idris Muhammad.
Yeah.
But so many, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Muhammad Ali, he
Absolutely.
impacted him,
Yeah.
of which he became a world champion for human rights as well as heavyweight champion of the world.
Just to bring our listeners back and those who are just joining us for the first time, we were in a discussion talking about how the influences of self-determination evolved over the years since the transatlantic slave trade. And one of the first of many Pan-Africanists was Martin Delany and Marcus Garvey. But for those who don't know your personal story, kind of walk us through once again and lay it out for us, your involvement. Because, see, this is history right before our eyes in the making, and people don't know this.
Right. Well, you know, of course, for those who are a student of history, you have to understand that we were broken into two philosophical divisions. You had the Civil Rights Movement, of course, which was influenced by the church. And out of that, you had men such as Martin Luther King, you had Fred Shuttleworth, and so on and so forth. But then you had the militant self-determination movement, and that was influenced by Islam. Both of my parents were involved in the civil human rights movement through the Nation of Islam, of which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was one of my teachers, and also men who I spent a great deal of time with, like Minister Louis Farrakhan, Muhammad Ali, among others. And personally, of course, I was an FOI. If you don't know what that means, that's a fruit of Islam, of which they teach honor, respect. They taught self-defense, unity, because you had to fight.
Self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
And knowledge of self.
That knowledge of self and unity. For example, we were taught that it takes at least 70 years for a man to master himself.
That's right.
At least 70 years. So how many years we got?
Got a long way.
Yeah, in self-mastery, of which, so it was a unified unit. Back then, people were not as they are today. If they gave their word was bond, and bond was life.
Yeah.
They would give their life before their word shall fail. The women, we believed in protecting and respecting our women. They weren't wild and running rampant. They raised their children. They took care of their homes, and those things were in the form of MGT, Muslim Girls Training, as well as GCC, General Civilization Classes.
Before we go any further, last week we sort of touched bases, but this week I want to give more of a personal account, because I believe that the hand that touches the hand, that touched the hand, there's a lot that goes on. So tell us about your personal experience? I mean, because you were right there.
Yeah, well,
1975.
Yeah, well, actually, 1970, of which when I was 12, I was one of the youngest ministers in the Nation of Islam. So men such as Minister Farrakhan, Yusuf Shah, Isaiah Kareem, Jeremiah Shabazz, we all were in the same ministers class. But then one-on-one, I used to learn from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, take lessons from him, just on discipline, self-determination, what it means to be a man, what it means to be a leader. I also worked for him in his store, the Shabazz Grocery. And
71st.
Yeah, on 71st, South Chicago, which I don't believe is South Chicago anymore. But at that time it was South Chicago, which was connected, was a Shabazz restaurant. And personally, Messenger was always very clean, very precise, always on time. And when he sat and thanked, he had this cat's eye ring on his middle finger. He would hit it up against the chair as he was listening to you and weighing you out. One of the last things he told me was, he said, "Son," and this was the last thing that he actually spoke to me. Of course, I stood post for him and was with him when he transitioned. I was the last man in the room. But one of the last things he said to me was, "Son, you'll be a great teacher and preacher of freedom, justice, and equality. Just don't let the women overtake you."
You know, kind of given a backdrop to the social climate that was happening at that particular time, we had Jim Crow.
Yes.
We had lynching.
Of course.
We had the peonage system.
Yeah.
We had black codes.
Yes. And at that time, being in the nation, there still was the fallout from Malcolm.
Right. You had that, which is surfacing again.
Right. But at that particular time, there was a lot of violence in the schools, of which you bear witness to this yourself. We were involved in 2 school shootings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before Columbine.
Before Columbine. You never ever heard about it. There were people that were shot, that were injured.
Even killed.
On both occasions. But because we were black children in a self-determining element, nobody ever said anything. Nobody ever gave us counseling. Nobody ever came to see about us. We just sucked it up and took it.
Thanks for our viewers that are watching.
This is Kareem and Company. Kareem and Company.
Yeah, we thank you for checking in, and I want to say hello to the Hodo family. And thanks once again. If you're tuning in to Kareem and Company, where we're talking about self-determination.
Dropping a little black history.
Yeah, some black history, but we're going to keep it 365. Not only just the shortest day of the month. I think there's one more day this year.
Yeah, a leap year every 4 years. February has 29 days. Did you know that every morning Minister Farrakhan wakes up playing the violin?
Every morning?
Every morning. You know, I stayed with him for about almost 6 months.
Wow.
And everywhere
an accomplished violinist.
Man, what you talking about? But that is his ritual. He rises up. He does his ablution, which that's getting ready for prayer. And after he prays, he's gonna pick up that violin, and he's gonna make sure his robe is tied up, and he's gonna start playing. He's gonna wake the whole house up playing that music.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I want to give some love out to some of our sponsors. Helen's.
Of course, Helen's
Kitchen and Catering. That's right.
And not ashamed to say it, that's our mama. Our mama, that's right. That's where Mama's soul food cooking comes straight from Mama's kitchen, straight to you. We the home of the $5 lunch plate.
And a big shout out and congratulations. She was awarded a Change Agent.
Change Agent Award given by Mr. Leroy Brooks,
Yes.
his organization, the Organization of Afro-American Unity, I believe that's what it is.
Okay.
And we appreciate that. But Mama's received many awards. Come by and see her.
708.
She's everybody's mama. She 4 generations of raising up,
Street North. Yeah.
raising other people's children, feeding
right.
other people, and I hear them talking. All these children got grown. Some of them having children, and some of them having children. So, and they call her Mama Helen.
So come get you some. 708 15th Street North, Columbus.
Yeah, come get some love.
Call us 662-328-3063.
Yeah.
Also, veterans have a very important announcement for you. If you've had hearing loss ringing in your ears,
Tendinitis, that's what it's called, tetanitis.
that's right, you may be eligible for a cash settlement. So come see us right away.
Now, you never know unless you come.
That's right.
We're so slow to move and act.
And miss out.
But let me just say this, Alvin. Now, I know some of y'all out there been in the military. I know your ears are ringing. I know you got a hearing problem. You can't hear. Don't be ashamed of it. Come on down here and let us write you up so you can get some money. I got to put it in layman terms for you so you can get paid, okay?
That's right.
And so just come on down between 5 p.m.
That's
at
right.
Helen's. Come on down, or you can give us a call. I'm going to give my number first.
Okay.
662-435-3732.
Or 662-491-1683, 662-491-1683. Hey, there's no such thing as a crazy or stupid question. The only one that is stupid is the one that doesn't get asked.
Good. Also, just real quickly before we go back to the subject matter, Aliceville, Alabama, at the Washington Community Center, March 27th to 28th, Thursday and Friday, 7 p.m. Meet me there. We're going to be there. We're going to have a special meeting. Mark it down on your calendars. I want you to meet me, Aliceville, Alabama. It'll be beginning of spring, renewal, revival. Please meet me there. Mark it on your calendars. Aliceville, Alabama, at the Willie Washington Center. Y'all remember Willie Washington over in Aliceville. Anyway, that's been confirmed today. Please meet me over in Aliceville.
All right. Just to wrap things up with the nation.
Is it time? Oh.
No.
Oh, okay.
Just wrapping up with the nation. I wanted just to briefly, before we go into the next segment, there's a movie that's out. It's a 6-part series on Netflix. It's worth watching.
Who Killed Malcolm X?
Who Killed Malcolm X? Very, very, very good information in terms of a lot of things that's surfacing that people wouldn't have otherwise known.
I want to commend Abdul Rahman.
Yeah.
We met Abdul Rahman, Arlington National Cemetery. He was our tour guide when we took 270 persons up to Washington, D.C. to the last inauguration of President Barack Hussein Obama. Notice what I said. I said Barack Hussein Obama. Islamic influence.
That's right. I mean,
all the way to the President of the United States. Listen, y'all get funny with me if you want to. These are just some realities, far-reaching. That's why some of the children running around today, that's why their names is Ali and Jamal and little Khadijah and little Rashida and little Rashad and Ahmad, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when was that date again that you're going to be speaking?
That's going to be March 27th and 28th, the last Thursday and Friday of March at the Aliceville, they call it the Aliceville Religious Center, where Willie Washington's building is.
What church?
No, it's the community center.
Community center, what time?
7 p.m.
Okay.
7 p.m. nightly, 2 days.
All right.
2 days.
Check it out. Going forward, the documentary is out, 6-part series. It talks about some things that, although things have changed, a lot of it remains the same. Okay, we have people who are afraid to speak up, speak out. We have people that know things that do nothing. And that's a part of our problem in terms of our own suffering as we place ourselves in a position of inequality.
Well, Ahmed, one of the things in our culture is we live with open secrets. Okay? You know, and I know that some of us take secrets to the grave. And we're going to have to stop that. We're going to have to start speaking truth to power. We're going to have to get out of that three-monkey mentality. Hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil.
And do no evil.
And yeah, do no evil.
Yeah.
We want to put a fourth one in.
Oh, yeah.
We, you know, because the movie is going to reflect that there is currently still a whole community up in Newark, New Jersey, that knows who killed Brother Malcolm. They know it. And some of the murderers you might have seen on TV. Okay?
Right.
But said nothing, did nothing, let two innocent men sit in jail for over 20 years, which that's a whole nother complete series to itself. And what I'm hoping is later on in this show that we can get Brother Abdul Rahman when we get some more equipment and whatnot on this show right here, and let him come on and expound some more about his research and everything that he has done. Because I commend that brother. It was very thorough. Wasn't no lies told. There wasn't any speculation. And you know, and I really enjoyed it from the standpoint that it was the truth, and it was truth speaking to power. And I know it spoke to my mind and soul, and it rested something within me that I always wondered. And I know that it was multiple complicity.
Before we leave this subject, you were there in the final hours
of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, yes, I was there.
In the final hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, very powerful, very wise man, and all that I'm going to say now is that it was before day in the morning. At the time of the transition, snow started falling, and the room shook.
Okay. Welcome, Brother Jennings, and thanks for watching and tuning in. Lots of love to you. Once again, we're going to take one more break, and then we're going to jump into the second half of this segment of Kareem and Company. Want to give some love out to Brother Moore.
Yeah.
Brother Rob Moore.
Yeah.
We'll put your information.
Car detailing service.
That's right.
You know Brother Rob, railroad man. He's been on that railroad for a lot of years.
A lot of years, over 20.
When I ran a car detailing business, he serviced me.
Yeah.
On time.
Okay.
All the time. Yeah. Best car detailing products. And the one thing I like about Brother Robert Moore, if he tells you he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it.
I was at his father's church today at Providence.
Word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was. That's where they had the services, the going home services for Sister Sarah Hamilton.
Right.
And all the family.
Also, we want to send condolences out to the Parrish family.
Okay.
Now, Sister Thelma Parrish, one of my former church members, she told my mother and I, she says, if I could just live to be 100 years and 6 months, that was at her 100th birthday. Well, guess what? God let her live 100 years and 7 months.
Okay.
Okay.
That's past 70 years.
Yeah. And so she had a large, full life. We thank God for her very sweet, generous, loving soul. And she's transitioned and gone on. So just want to give our condolences and well wishes to all of the Parrish family and all those connected up in the Ware community.
With the time we have remaining, Brother Kamal.
Let's drop the bomb. I know that's a scud you could have dropped.
Well, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize what you're about to say.
This is part of the backdrop and the narrative of what's going on today. And this is part of one of our Black History facts. It wasn't until 2013 that slavery became illegal in the state of Mississippi. Wow. I'm going to say that
just 7 years ago.
Yeah, before it was illegal in the state of Mississippi. You didn't know that, did you, brother?
Our cameraman, he's shaking his head.
Like, no.
Yeah. Hey, listen. So, what does that say?
Let me just give a little information. The 13th Amendment, which was adopted by the United States in 1965, said neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except for punishment. Sounds familiar?
Well, that slavery still exists.
That's right.
That's the penal system.
That's right.
That's the penal
Exactly.
system. Yeah.
Except for punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Now, slavery was not abolished until 2013. This is kind of the backstory that's happening in our penal system here in the state of Mississippi now, having issues with,
But
I guess, go ahead.
Here's what the problem is in Mississippi in terms of your penal systems, of which most of them are most notably worthy to be shut down. Primary Parchman, Mississippi. Okay, but here's what the issue is. For the sake of a job, okay, I don't know how many thousand. Well, yes, I do. You've got approximately 1,200 inmates in Parchman, in contrast to saving around 400 jobs.
1,200 inmates.
Right. See, people want to save their jobs who are free, and so they're willing to let injustice and dehumanization go on.
Then we got to follow the money. There's something like 41,000, and I could be off a little, but it's either 37 to 41,000
dollars per year per inmate.
Right.
Yeah, and so
that's a lot of money.
Right. Now, this is the scary part, as what we do in most situations. Will be a flash in the pan, the fire will go out, it'll cinder to a little smoke, and then it'll fizzle, and you won't hear nothing. Here's the danger. These problems have been going on all along. They were going on when I was in prison. They were going on before I got there.
Well, you have the 13th Amendment.
Yeah. And inhumane conditions.
And slavery was still legal.
Corruption in the administrations and in the guards. All this stuff. It's nothing new whatsoever. But here's the kicker, okay? When somebody from the outside, like in celebrity, attaches themselves to it, then everybody wants to get on the bandwagon because everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to get on the front of the wagon train. Nobody wants to push or pull, okay? So now that the celebrity of it is fizzling down, if we're not careful, the whole situation is going to be swept under the rug, and it's going to be right back to business as usual.
You know, it's a sad state of affairs in terms of our silence and how being complicit to an ongoing problem continues. Because, see, my belief is that not only does the individual go to prison, but the family, the mother, the father, the children.
Oh, yeah.
So the impact is, you have a lot of collateral damage.
Yes.
It's exponential.
Oh, yeah, of course. So the prison industry is one of Mississippi's largest economies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So that means it has to be a mindset in the state to offset that, but not just waiting until someone who is elected does something. We as individuals, we in the civil libertarian, we're going to have to do something in terms of bettering our own selves individually, collectively, and community-wise.
So what are we doing on the front end before people get to prison? When little Johnny is 4 years old, or Tammy 6 years old, what safeguards are we putting into play as a community, as the village, to address the problem?
Well, first of all, families, more than just having a family reunion and everybody coming together and dancing and getting drunk, families have to get back together. We have to have the mindset where if I'm estranged, I need to go back home. Mothers need to come off the street and go back home and take care of their children and raise their children. We need to accentuate education because people that don't want to learn, they raise hell. We need to clean up our own streets, and we need to resist the scourge of drugs and gangs, and not buy into what's been given to us by the record industry and through the so-called rap and thug culture. We need to start embracing our own culture, learning our own history.
Well, this is the second generation who's telling them, who's teaching them.
Well,
who knows?
We're trying, and we got to continue to try. People like us, other poor righteous teachers who are out there, others who are speaking to power and advocating self-determination, because see, it's all about economics. Okay, slavery was based on economics. Racism is based on economics, and when we have a lack of economics or a lack of poverty, we suffer from many things. The very language we speak, the slangs that we talk, the cursing in our words, all that is people who are suffering from poverty.
Before we go, there were some interesting statistics that you came across, and just for the ones that are viewing, talk to us about that for a second.
Well, just say the city of Columbus has 22,000 people. Statistic-wise, out of 22,000 people listed, not the ones who are non-listed, you've got approximately 1,780 people who are chemically dependent. That's about 8%. 8% of a population of 22,000 people. Out of that 8%, you've got 3.50 persons, or almost 800 persons, who are HIV infected. So unless the church community, the religious community, unless we reassess our playbook, unless we get down to the brass tacks of how we're going to eliminate these issues, we're never going to be economically viable. The town is just going to die on the vine, and we're just putting off the inevitable. Unless we start making some real social change, real economic change. I'm talking about instilling that not just in ourselves and in our children. Quit all this arguing and fighting. Everybody want to be a chief. Don't nobody want to be an Indian, you know. And hey, look, let me say something. It might not be meant for you to be a general. It just might meant for you to be a good sergeant. It might just meant for you to be a good corporal. But just because the person at the helm is not who you like personally, is he speaking the truth, or is she speaking the truth? Are they doing what's productive? Those are the questions that should be answered.
We have an election this year in November. There's some candidates that are not speaking to issues in terms of mass incarceration, the issues that causes us to have overcrowding, overpopulation in the prisons. What do you predict in terms of going into 2021 and to the election?
Something that was real disappointing for me out of all of them is because now they're vying for the black vote. And anytime you see a rally, I love black people. You know, and then you got all us gathered around because you know that we want the money or the handout, you know. And Trump's doing the same thing, blacks for Trump. And I love black people, you know. Listen, none of them are really speaking to the issues that affect us. Nobody's telling us how we're going to put more food on the table, how we're going to have money, good homes, friendships in all walks of life, how we're going to better educate our children, how we're going to release some of the prisoners. And you know, America has more prisons and more people locked up than any nation on the face of the planet Earth.
Right.
And yet, no candidate even speaks to the prison situation.
We have two candidates that was behind the Bill Clinton 1994
Yeah, 3
bill.
strikes you're out.
That's right.
Yeah, 3 strikes you're out. And so
Biden was one of them.
Yeah, and so all of them. Then they've got Bloomberg with this the stop and frisk and redlining, of which we'll deal with that more next week.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Thanks for tuning in. We will be here next week talking about some of the same issues. Hey, tell someone that you can get in right here on Kareem and Company. And
then maybe if Kabir, our brother who's a representative, if he has time, because he's in session right now. We're not a duo, we're a trio, but maybe he might have time to sit in with us as we talk and elaborate on some of these issues.
That's right. I'd like to leave with this quote. I am because we are. Hey man, we're the village.
And the people.
That's right.
And the state.
And they say if a person is sick, so is the village.
Right. Well, there's a whole lot of us sick, including the doctor.
Power to the people. Yeah. Hey, next time from Kareem and Company, stay with us, stay true.
We're out.
All right. I got to turn this off.